Movie folks, hello, I'm Christopher Borrelli. I'm here to talk about X-Men Days of Future Past, which is the 7th X-Men movie in the last 14 years. It's also the return to the franchise for director Bryan Singer, who is somewhat scandalized at the moment. But as a filmmaker, he's in fine form here. He made the first 2 X-Men installments, then he took some time and made some other movies, turned the franchise over to Brett Ratner, who famously killed it. But they kept making these things, and 2011's X-Men First Class was a really good return to this thing. It was basically a reboot. And so smartly, what Singer's doing is taking a storyline from Chris Claremont, who wrote the original comic books in the early 1980s, and he is pulling basically a time travel plot and a plan to destroy mutants, and he's kind of putting it all together into this story that combines the original cast and the newer cast, and it's a whole bunch of stuff. And actually a better title probably would have been X-Men, a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, here's a clip from the X-Men Days of Future Past.
What is all this?
Where is it going?
All getting shipped back.
What are you doing with those?
Something to make the ride a little smoother. I'm transferring you to a private facility where we can run a few more tests.
Your men are not military.
Private outfit.
These troops are going home.
I don't believe you have jurisdiction in this matter.
I'm afraid I do, son.
Let's move out.
Where's Eric?
I'm on my own now.
What's really interesting about that scene is there's a lot of X-Men, if you notice, and there's a lot of X-Men in the entire movie. I don't exactly know what the guy with the black eyes does. I'm not sure. The guy with the tongue, I think that's just what he does. And then there's a guy who shoots fireballs with his fists, and there's the guy who shoots tattoos with his hand, I think, and he makes people vomit when he shoots his tattoos. I mean, I don't know. I guess there's a very low threshold now for getting into the X-Men. So if you can shoot your tattoos at people and make them vomit, you're an X-Men member. I don't know. I probably have an X-Men talent, I'm sure. You know, when I eat milk chocolate, my ears split open at the bottom for some reason. It's weird. It's like stigmata. Maybe I'm an X-Man. And what matters here, basically, aside from a handful of really the usual special effects smackdowns, are basically 4 actors: James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, and Hugh Jackman, who Hugh Jackman mostly serves as kind of a go-between between the original cast and the newer cast. There's also a lot of X-Men. There's roughly 8,000 X-Men in this film. There's a hot X-Men, there's a cold X-Men, there's a lizard X-Men, there's a metaphysical X-Men, there's a really hard X-Men, like physically hard X-Men. I don't know, there's so many X-Men. The story is like, well, how much time do you got, basically? Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, has to go back in time to convince Jennifer Lawrence, who's Mystique, not to kill Peter Dinklage, the guy from Game of Thrones, who's building this robot army that's going to kill all the X-Men. That's the basic plot, but the core of the movie is more of like a triangle of strong wills, this kind of fragile alliance between Magneto and Professor X and Mystique, and Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart are really, really, really good at playing off of each other. They're kind of like grumpy old men. You know, I can picture a really good sitcom, basically, where they're like, you know, get out of my head, Magneto, no, okay. Something like that, I don't know. Fassbender seems to kind of retreat here a little bit. That's maybe one of the drawbacks to the thing. He's a little too cold as Magneto, whereas McKellen, older, as the older Magneto, is really warm. Also, Jennifer Lawrence is mostly a cog in something like this. It's a gigantic pastiche, and she's in a floppy suede hat and wearing the Joni Mitchell clothes, and she's kind of like an Instagram J-Law, essentially, to me. The film really belongs to 2 actors, in my opinion. It's basically James McAvoy, who plays the younger Professor X, and he's kind of strung out, and he's in the 70s. And then there's this guy, Evan Peters, the guy from American Horror Story, who plays Quicksilver. He's basically the Marvel's version of Flash. He's the world's fastest man. He has this wonderful prison break scene, but like a lot of the best moments of this really, really overstuffed but enjoyable installment, he comes and he moves a little too fast. The whole thing moves a little too fast, weirdly, considering it's 2 hours and 10 minutes. But there's you need a lot of time to sort out those 8,000 X-Men. Anyway, that's it. I'm Chris Borrelli at the Chicago Tribune. Go see X-Men Days of Future Past. It's probably one of the best superhero movies in a while, but there's probably another one coming in a few minutes. So anyway, there you go.